Super Bowl was yesterday. Super Bowl 2018. I don't know what number it is, 100 I think. And of course the Florence Nightingales beat the Crusaders. I don't know. Who cares? Anyway, this is the time of morning when I get up. I kind of go through a routine. I take my pills. At age 70, I'm on about 5 prescribed medications, five prescribed medications, and about another 2 or 3 self-inflicted drugs. Like most men of my age, I am taking a pill called a statin, which reduces cholesterol. Take a couple of pills for blood pressure every day, and I take a pill to help me piss. Now, anyway, the morning time, other than taking the drugs, is probably the best part of the day for me. It's when I feel the best. I don't wear down in the morning as quickly, so not that I get, all that much sleep at night or I wake up refreshed, but it's the best I'm going to feel during the day. So that's the best. It's also quiet. I don't have many activities this early in the morning. A couple of days a week I go to a trainer, but that's not till 10:30, so I have a little time to just kind of putz around. Every morning I have a cup of coffee, which I make in my coffee press. I've become, very proficient in my coffee making. That's always been looking for the right combination of materials and the right process to make coffee. Tried different versions and ended up with this, what they call, I think, a French press. So anyway, the morning is the time that I just kind of ramble around and get my thoughts together and get ready for the day. Not necessarily that the day is going to be that much. Like today, I think I heard the temperature is -5 degrees out. So there won't be much day in today. I'm not going to go outside probably at all, or at least not till later when my cleaning lady comes today. I might have to vacate the house for a little while, or I might clean the room and just hang around here today because that's a little cold, so it's way too cold. Dangerously cold. I just don't like the cold, I guess. Whether it's dangerous or not, I'm not sure, but I really don't like it. So I've been working on a project for the last few weeks, on and off. I have been revisiting the Bible, specifically the Old Testament, because I was spurred to action when I read a announcement or press release from the Mormon Church that they're going to make the Old Testament the course of study this year in their adult Sunday school class. There's no particular reason that a Mormon press release should spur me into anything, but for some reason I was kind of taken by the phrase, I think something like, in their studies they were going to find the truth, the beauty, and the wisdom of that book. And I thought, that might be interesting if I took a look at that book and maybe I could find the truth and wisdom in the book that I missed when I was 19 years old. And I read the book through cover to cover, beginning to end, in preparation for my mission. Writing or constructing some outlines of discussions about various parts of the Old Testament is quite simple. It's just find a story or find a section, probably one that's popular among Christians and Mormons, and just look at it on the face of it. Read what the book has to say, and then just don't try to overly interpret it. Just read it as literal advice or a literal story, supposed history or whatever, and see if it makes any sense. I can tell you that it really didn't when I was 19 years old. It seldom made sense to me, anything I read there. It was a kind of a foreign experience. So that's what kind of kicked me into the project that I've been working on Because the second part of that is after I had written a couple of those lessons, and they're not that good. You know, they're just, they get about the level of intellect that I'm able to bring to any project, which isn't much, and I don't have much expertise on the Old Testament. As I say, I haven't really looked at it much since I read it when I was 19 years old, and even then I pretty much found it a slog and it wasn't a very appealing or uplifting read even then. And now as an atheist, it certainly isn't going to provide much more in the way of uplift, I'm sure. So I wrote I made two attempts at looking at the Old Testament. Came away and I wrote two outlines of discussions of the little sections that I had read about the various verses. And when I had that on paper, I thought, I wonder what it would be like if I were to take it to the next step and make those like, I don't know what my son, the school teacher, Seth, calls them class plans or lesson plans. If I converted those into lesson plans and then made a video of them, of me interspersing things that I have to say, the verses themselves, and maybe going on the internet, YouTube, and find some videos that support either ideas that I have or explain what I'm reading a little more than I'm able to. Which brought me to where I'm sitting now on this Monday morning, having my coffee, figuring out how to put those lesson plans on video. And it turns out to be a daunting task for a number of reasons. First of all, there's a lot of moving parts, and if you get any segment of what you're doing wrong or aren't bringing it up to some level of high quality production, it just falls flat. So there's equipment considerations like the lighting, the cameras. There's the content, which if you don't write it at a level good enough to be entertaining, then what's the point? I'm not trying to really entertain anyone here, so I guess that part doesn't matter that much. I'm only entertaining myself. And then it's just putting it all together. You got the lighting, the camera, and the software, and then you, the talent or the actor on the screen, with no one to assist you in that, no one to be watching you and say, hey, you need to open your eyes wider, or you need to look at the camera, or you need to put inflection in your voice. None of that assistance available here. It's just me sitting in a room talking to myself, basically, with a couple of cameras running and looking at them. What this project forced me to do is to admit that I really never knew all that much about cameras and videography, and that what little I did know just seemed to evaporate shortly after I had a heart procedure about 3 or 4 years ago. It was an odd experience. I came home from that procedure in Cleveland. I picked up my cameras, which I was not expert at, but at least I was familiar with. I could use the cameras, and they seemed like foreign objects to me. I don't know if that's directly related to the little bit of surgery that I had, or if it was the anesthesia, or what caused that, but it was a real effect. So as I say, I was never an expert on cameras, but I had some knowledge, and it just seemed to be gone. So this project, as I am working with cameras again, has forced me to get back to the level of knowledge that I had before, so that at least I can use the cameras, so that some of this makes sense. Now, I've never really done much in video. I mean, I've taken some videos, but I take them like I take pictures. I just press the button that starts the video recording instead of a still photo, and then take enough so that when I'm satisfied, I click the button and stop that. I've never done much in post-production of those. I've hardly even looked at them after I've done them. They're just existing or lost forever. So they're either on my computer somewhere or they're gone, and that's what it's been. Now this one, I was gonna this project, I was gonna make something that at the end that I could be happy with. That I thought, well, Of course, it's amateur, but at least it's not embarrassing. Uh, and so, starting with the cameras, I thought it would be kind of cool. I do have some pretty good recording equipment. I have the Sony A7R2S, which is, unless you go one more camera, that's the best that Sony makes. Sony's come out with a new one now, which, of course, one of the problems when I start working with cameras is I get the itch to get a new camera. And I'm itching right now to get the new Sony, but also the new Panasonic, which is, I'm shooting on the GH4, the Lumix, I don't know how they say it, Lumix, GH4, and they have a GH5 and a GH5S out now. I'd like to have one of those cameras. So I've been looking around on Craigslist and eBay and other places to see if I could find those cameras at some reduced price. Surprisingly, I found the camera that I thought would be the hardest to find, which is the Sony, because the production is pretty much right with demand, so there aren't a lot of cameras floating around, very little in the way of bargains. But I found like 4 or 5 pretty attractively priced cameras on Amazon, but they're from newly launched resellers, and my experience with Amazon has not been perfect because of my inability to follow up enough, and in Amazon's sometimes when it's not them that provided the object or the item, they're not that supportive. I think if you stick with them, that it'll probably work out okay. But so I'm stuck with the quandary or the question of, do I go ahead and punch the button and buy one of those cameras from a newly launched seller on Amazon, or do I just bite the bullet and or I guess swallow the pill? Wouldn't be biting any bullets, I'm just swallowing a pill. I would swallow the pill to acquire the new camera at retail, which is about $4,000. That would be quite a bit more than I've ever paid for a camera before. Not when you include lenses, but that's just a body. So I've spent maybe a little more on cameras in the past, but it was a kit or a combination of a couple lenses and a new camera. So the other thing, of course, is I can just wait. A year from now, these cameras will be a little bit more available and probably at some reasonable prices. So I don't know which way to go on that. So now I also said I wanted to try, and I was going to do A camera and B camera. I guess you could do a C camera, then you have 3, and the idea is to give it a more professional look, like you're talking one moment looking at one camera, and then the next moment you're kind of looking over at the other camera, and then you use software to clip those pieces together, and it looks like it was all filmed on one camera. But there is the rub. If you use 2 very different cameras, even though they're of really high quality and both take really good footage or video, if they're not matched, that is, if you don't have the same camera, identical clones doing both of the work, there's an obvious difference when you put them on the software and say, I'm going to connect them. Although the quality of the video on both is acceptable and very good, in fact, when you click them together, it's very obvious you've used 2 different cameras because of the coloring and what have you. In addition to that, the sound is different. One camera gives you a kind of a deep bass, very robust sound, and the other is a little bit more tinny. Same microphones, just a different camera. So that's a problem, And then there's the problem of, I guess problems because it's something I have to figure out how to do. There's the problem of the lighting. I don't know where to put it. I mean, I just have a bunch of lights thrown around, and hopefully it'll work. I've tried to put together some stuff that I think makes it kind of interesting just from eyeballing what other people do. Now I started videos back when I started videos before I started taking still photos. I got a little video camera that was from Japan. It was I think it was Minolta, I think, but it might have been, I don't remember what, I should remember that. I think it was a Minolta. And it was, you know, it was as good an 8mm camera that you could have. I said video, but of course it was film. And, you know, if you combine my inability to do much with a, you know, kind of a ancient 8mm camera, you're just not going to get that good a product. And I never did. Somewhere I have converted those films that I took as a kid, and they're on video, so we can't look at them if I figure out where I misplaced them to, but I have no idea where that is right now. The last time I remember they were on a DVD, and I don't have any recollection of where that is. I think I still have the 8mm film, but I'm not going to convert it to